I'm having a little bit of trouble with creative traction this week. Just trying to get my juices flowing. So I am at Starbucks at the drive-thru, and I'm gonna try to remedy that. Hi, I'd like a venti mocha, please.
A venti hot mocha. What else for you?
That'll do.
All right, we'll tip it the window. Thank you.
Thank you. So hopefully this little pick-me-up will help. I can tell you though that it feels so good just to be out in the Jeep, in the driver's seat. I think this is my happy place, right here. All right, it is go time. Hi.
Hello, how you doing?
Thank you. Take care. This week I am taking a look back at my experience at Black Rock Playa in northern Nevada, and this was 2 years ago exactly, back in 2018. Black Rock Playa is the vast, flat desert landscape where Burning Man is held. And I wasn't there during Burning Man, this was in late April. But I drove out into the middle of this thing, set up camp, and it was awesome. It was by far one of my favorite experiences ever. There was just something really surreal about camping in the middle of this landscape that's so flat and vast in every single direction. Make sure it's in the dry season because the playa is impassable when it's wet, but put it on your bucket list because camping out there is just an amazing experience. This is one of my favorite shots, but it was one of the more difficult drive-by shots to capture. I started driving toward the camera about a mile away, and at that point I couldn't see the camera, nor did I have a clear track to follow. So I had to use my GPS to guide me in a straight line toward the camera, and it worked out pretty well. I'm out for a hike. According to my map, there's a hot spring a little less than 4 miles away. I looked at the Jeep, and there's like a Mylar balloon or something blowing right toward it. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to whomever lost the Mylar balloon. I finally reached the edge of the playa. It was a long hike, but it was perfectly flat, so it was more like a long stroll. Hiked over 3 miles so far, and I can still see the Jeep in the distance behind me. Okay, about a 4-mile hike, a little bit extra to chase a balloon. Wow, it's steaming over there. I'm endlessly fascinated by hot springs. There's relatively few of them back east where I'm from, but out west they're far more common. The temperature is perfect. The bottom is muddy. Like this really soft gray mud. This feels so good. When I got back from my hike, the clouds were wisping across the playa, and it was so dramatic and cool looking. I had a great hike today. I was productive. I did a little bit of writing, and now I'm going to do some photo editing. Unfortunately, the wind picked up. I put everything away except for my awning. and I just hope it doesn't die. My visit to Black Rock Playa was one of my favorite experiences. I hated to leave so soon, but I think I was low on food and drink. I am looking forward to a return trip, maybe next time for a longer stay and with some friends. It's Tuesday morning, April 28th, 2020. I'm getting a little bit restless, but I know that we all are. We just have to keep being patient and hanging in there, and I think that things will return to normal in due time. As much as I'd prefer to be out adventuring, circumstances are definitely giving me the opportunity to work on things that I wouldn't be able to out on the road. For instance, I migrated my website, venture4wd.com, to a new hosting company. I'm talking with partners and potential partners about new ideas. I'm working on new artwork and learning animation software, which is Apple Motion. And this is also a good chance to eventually do taxes, which I continue to procrastinate. Alright, I blew the original shot, so we're going with a freeze frame segue. But let's change the subject and talk about Jeep stuff. First and foremost, I have the full-length JKE dock from Vector Off-Road, which is this bar that runs across the top of the dashboard. And utilizing arms from 67 Designs and RAM mounts, I use it to install devices on my dashboard, including this GoPro Hero 3 Plus that I use for monologues while I'm driving, my 67 Designs iPhone mount, and my iPad Mini 4 running Gaia GPS, which is on a mount that is a combination of both RAM and 67 Designs. While the RAM mounting hardware is better known and offers a greater selection of brackets and adapters, I far prefer the 67 Design solution. This is the spring-loaded mount for smartphones. It's machined aluminum, there are rubber pads on all three sides, and it is extremely sturdy. This does not budge or vibrate or wobble. One more device that I have mounted on hardware by 67 Designs is my Garmin InReach Explorer GPS. But this is fitted in a Garmin cradle that is made specifically for the InReach Explorer. It's powered by USB, and it's on a 67 Designs arm and suction cup adhered to this rear window back here. The device just slips into this cradle like so, and the reception back here in the back seat seems to be just fine. It's not a device that I need to look at, it just provides a Bluetooth GPS signal to my iPad. My tripod is one of my most important and frequently used pieces of equipment that you very rarely get a chance to see. And right now, you're on a wheelbarrow. It is a Manfrotto B-Free, part number MKBFRA4-BH. And it's been great. It's compact, ultra portable, it's adjustable, the parts are easily replaceable, and it has never given me any problems. The only issue that I have are the latches for these legs. Over time, they have a tendency to loosen up. Like this one right here, you can see it's latched, but the leg still collapses pretty easily. So that's why I got my tools out. I'm going to take care of that right now. All I need to do is give it a couple turns with a Torx bit, and it's as good as new. This tripod sees a ridiculous amount of use every day for years, so considering that, it has been exceptional. Alright, nice and tight. Alright, tools. I have a hilarious assortment of tools that I store in my Blue Ridge Overland Gear tool bag. They're stored in the tool bag in a series of 6 pouches that folds up like so. The top pouch contains screwdrivers. The second to the top pouch contains ratchets and sockets. Not a complete set. These are just an assortment of frequently used sockets. Again, same deal. Not a complete set, just frequently used. In the fourth pouch, vice grips, robo grips, channel locks, electric tape, scissors, razor blade, Sharpie. And in the bottom pocket, Allen wrenches. And that's where my torque set lives. Tools are stored underneath my driver's side rear seat. Tire iron. That goes in first. This is a weird angle. Blue Ridge Overland gear bag goes in second. ARB tire repair kit goes in third on top of the Blue Ridge bag. And then my AEV jack base goes right here. This past year, the fabric on the side of my driver's seat started to tear, so I fixed it up with one of these Gear-Aid Gore-Tex fabric repair patches, and it seemed to work fairly well. And something that I'd like to fix before I hit the road again is I think my factory hinge bushings disintegrated on the driver's side rear door here. Wow, I had absolutely no idea that deer crossed the road ahead of me until I reviewed this video footage days later. Still looking for a campsite. I am in Humboldt Toyabe National Forest. And I've been driving pretty hard and pretty far. Gas is an issue. Wow. I have found my campsite. Alright, it's Monday night and I'm at an awesome campsite. More on that tomorrow. But first, I had a bit of an off day. I remember being extremely grumpy that day. I think I was frustrated because I was having trouble finding a place to camp and I was losing daylight. And on top of that, my scuttle dislodged when I hit a bump in the Jeep. It landed on my camera and broke the microphone input jack. The microphone still worked after that, fortunately, but the plug was wonky. This is another audio test. Audio test. Last night when I was putting up the awning, a beaver floated by. It had a stick in its mouth, and I was like, oh hey, and it freaked out and went underwater. Made breakfast and coffee. Now I'm gonna take some time to go for a walk. I didn't do any exploring last night. As soon as I found this beautiful setting, I jumped on it. But now I wanna see what's around. This was a water crossing I had to contend with last night. All right, let's not drop the camera. It's about knee deep. That spire up there on the mountainside is incredible. If I can geek out for a second, I'd say it looks like the entrance to a Dwarven mine. I think this may very well be my favorite campsite so far this year. This is remote, it's wild, it's peaceful. I haven't seen another soul. Looking at the map, there's just a huge network of forest roads here. I'd love to explore them, but I only have half a tank of gas, and I haven't seen a gas station in 80 miles at least. So it would be dangerous for me to go in any other direction other than back the way I came at this point. Just watching this footage, I miss this spot, and I think I'm going to put it very high on my list of places to revisit, hopefully this year. 2 years ago when I was there, my issue was not having enough gas to explore, but now I have the additional 17 gallons in my auxiliary fuel tank. So when I go back, I should be good to go. So you want to make videos and put them on YouTube. What camera do you need? When I first started making these videos, all I used was this. And your smartphone is really all that you need. As long as it creates, takes video, it's efficient to cut and edit footage and then publish a finished movie to YouTube. Alright, so you got your foot in the door with your smartphone. How do you take it to the next level? Well, for something like that, I would recommend a GoPro. I've had positive experiences with GoPros. The video stabilization is great, the image quality is great, the audio is But these sports cameras from GoPro and DJI, for some, this is all you need. Beyond that, I would recommend a digital camera with interchangeable lenses. I started out with a Canon 80D, but not long after using the Canon 80D, some friends reached out to me and offered a Panasonic LUMIX GH5 to try, which is what I'm recording on right now. The GH5 is a micro 4/3 camera with interchangeable lenses, and before I got it, I had no idea what I was getting into. I took ownership of it right before Overland Expo West in 2018, and I jumped right in with it, barely knowing how to use it. Some of the scenes at Expo West were out of focus, but otherwise, my first shot at it went fairly well. It's absolutely less forgiving than my experience with the Canon is, but when you know how to take advantage of its strengths, it really produces some phenomenal imagery, and I love this camera. I believe Lifestyle Overland uses the same camera, except I think they have more than one, and I just have one, and my grip is sticky because I got queso on it. But for my GH5, I have 4 different lenses. The lens that I use the most is the one that I'm using now, And it is a Leica 1260, and I have this wider lens, which is a Leica 818. I often use this lens when I'm recording inside the Jeep. It's just a wider angle. If I'm shooting long, this is a telezoom lens, and it is a LUMIX 35-100. I really like to use this lens when I'm shooting drive-bys and the Jeep is far away, or I'm hiking. It creates a really nice depth of field. And finally, I have this LUMIX prime lens, which is 25mm. This is a portrait lens, and I don't use this often enough, but I do sometimes use it for wrap-up monologues, and it's beautiful. The LUMIX GH5 has a Wi-Fi option that enables me to connect it to my iPhone, and if the camera is out of reach and I need to do a monologue but I can't adjust it from afar, I can use this. And this app gives me pretty much control of the camera. Here, let me focus on me. There we go. Yeah, see? Let's take a look at what these other lenses look like. You've already seen the 1860, which is what we're using now. This is the wide-angle 818. See, you can see a little bit more of the room. This is the LUMIX 35-100, and it's all the way zoomed out. Yeah, see, I'm too close. Can't even focus on me anymore. This is the LUMIX 25mm prime, and prime means that it's fixed at 25mm and can't zoom. You can see there's great detail and the background is blurred. Perfect. This is why I love that lens for doing monologues like this. And one more thing, the microphone is a Rode VIDEOMIC Pro Plus. It's my second one. The first one that I had is still on the side of a cliff somewhere in North Carolina. It's around 7 a.m. on Saturday morning, May 2nd, 2020, and this week's episode is late. I was up until 1 a.m. last night, and I saw that I still had some hours ahead of me, so I decided to go to bed, get some rest, so I could get a jump on it in the morning. I truly hate falling behind like this, and I apologize, but I'm on track to have the episode out in a little bit, so if you're watching this, then that's probably a good sign. I'm keeping a very close eye on circumstances in Arizona regarding COVID-19. I think in a few weeks the state plans to ease some of the travel and stay-at-home restrictions. Needless to say, I'm excited, and I know we all are, and I'm ready to hit the road right now. Just need to be patient for a little bit longer. But when I finally leave here, chapter V10 begins, and I'm going to start recording tracks like crazy. So as usual, be safe, be healthy, thanks for following along, and I will catch up with you again next week. Hopefully on time. I'm going to work on that.